All right.
Basically, a camera. Well, there's a camera right there that. You see it right underneath. I don't know, but I guess.
So we're all going to be missing that.
Couldn't tell you.
Joe said he didn't know if he was going to.
So Patrick will not be joining us tonight. He said he's out of town. Which means one of you will get to, if the mayor doesn't come, will get to act as the master of ceremonies. Do any of you guys want to run this meeting if the mayor doesn't show up?
I'll do it.
Okay.
Okay.
Walter, real fast, one thing though. There were a couple things in here. The financial report, I'm gonna deliver that to you guys. You got an initial draft, but we have to make some corrections, so I didn't put it in here because I don't want to accept it in this meeting. We'll put it into the next one for you guys to approve. So we're gonna pull that, and then Monica had some issues with the meeting minutes that was on the agenda for the February 1st and the February 22nd. So we have the March 1st minutes in here, and then those minutes updated.
Hey guys, how are y'all?
Hello.
I have not mastered these yet.
You feeling better?
Yeah, I got my little flip-flops in here.
I know that's traumatic. I know many people that have gone through what you did. That is very traumatic.
Well, you get to the different points that I didn't know you got to, where you had flip-flops
Really?
in your mouth. But they said that's, while we go through this process, and then they'll do the post and do the rest of the work.
Have you already got your implants done?
No, just to pull out, heal up, all that. Think we're gonna have enough tonight to keep us busy?
Yeah. It's after 7 by my law.
I'm sorry, I want to push it out to March 1st instead of the March 15th agenda. So she's printing the other ones out right now. This is the,
What? Oh, it is, yeah.
yeah. And then March 1st.
Well, I mean,
No problem. Hello. Good morning. Hello.
this one does. You want this one?
Yes. It's kind of funny that some work and some don't. Boy, it was hard to come in. Come to the meeting.
Buddy?
This weather is so pretty. It's really nice out there right now. I hate the time change, but then I love the time change.
Well, there's a
they're supposed to be trying to get
a businessman named David, and he pronounces his last name Magari. It's Magari. Have you heard of him?
Go ahead.
Okay, well, he's buying up properties in New Fairview.
Oh, okay. Well, it's the next frontier as far as cities are concerned.
Well, but what I don't understand is he's buying properties that, it's gotta be for, something other than development, because one of the properties he bought was the Sluters, and they got pipelines everywhere.
Oh, they bought that right there behind you?
Spaghetti, yeah. It can't be developed because of all the pipelines.
Renting.
Huh?
Renting them out.
Well, for grazing,
Grazing,
yeah,
grazing,
grazing.
they're buying land, he's not buying up homes, nothing.
Oh, there's no homes. It's
Oh,
vacant land, vacant
oh, oh.
land. Yeah, that's what I said. It can't be built on, can't be developed because of all the
Oh,
pipelines.
I thought you, what I'm talking about over here.
No.
Oh,
No, this is over by me.
oh. Somebody who's gonna lease out the land, rent, I mean, lease it out.
Well,
Yeah.
that's really
Or
all we can do.
road.
It has no electricity, it has no well. It has a pond that doesn't hold water, because when they dug it, they hit rock, and it won't hold water. So, I've been helping his employees for the last 3 weeks, fix fences. So we're putting up barbed wire and T-posts, mesh fence, and, fixing the water gap.
And it's hard to buy property at $2,000 to $5,000 an acre or even more
I don't know what.
and rent it out for cattle
Yeah.
at $10 an acre. That, you know, it's-
I don't know what he paid for it, I didn't ask, but, the Schluter's place was 95 acres. So,
that was a big hunk of land.
yeah, that is. Now, this is truly looks like to me, a short agenda.
It is.
We should be able to get.
Not just a record.
Yeah, that should take long.
You must have got mine, because one I had last time.
No, I've read it. Are we on?
Real good. Roll call. Joe Wilson.
Walter Pence.
Steve Meisner.
Golden Schoolmaker.
Patrick.
Patrick will be absent.
Okay, Patrick will be absent. Okay. We'll stand for the United States of America. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible. Well, I'm kind of in a happy mood tonight. I guess part of the reason is I only have like one more meeting or two to attend. It's the mayor.
April 5th and April 19th.
Yeah. After 14 years in that position and about 20 years here, been able to see a lot of things accomplished, a lot of changes. And I think the new council and the new people running for the mayor position
should have an exciting election or some good discussions.
Is there,
We'll
is there
talk about that.
anybody running for council positions or just mayor?
Cindy Poe
Oh, yeah.
and Walter are running for place 4. I believe nobody ran opposed to place 5. That's going to be John Taylor filling on the ballot. And then Patrick Gunter, nobody ran, he's unopposed as well. So we have 3 people on the ballot for the mayor and 2 people for place 4.
Okay, and we're gonna be talking about that later.
Later.
Okay. Open forum. Do you have anybody that's turned in a,
Nobody's turned in any form.
does anyone else? Okay, nobody wants to
Anybody like
say.
to speak or anything?
Nobody online?
Okay.
Not asking for anything, no.
Consent items, all matters listed as consent agendas are considered to be routine by the city council and will be reenacted by one motion. There will not be a separate discussion of these items. If discussion is desired, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately.
So Mayor, we're going to remove item A. Monica still had to make some adjustments so before the council could accept the financials. We needed to do some amendments, which she had.
Now, who is doing the financials now? It's a group deal, isn't it? You're involved with it.
Yeah.
Tell us how that is going now.
Well, so ultimately what we did is we sat down with the auditor. We said we have 3 people involved in this process. We wanted to be able to set up controls and put them into place. So the accounts payables, all the invoices and bills are opened and entered into the system by Brooke. Monica runs a report and she generates the checks, which are then printed to match against what is entered into the system. She checks them. I go through all the invoices and I verify the amounts and the services were received. I initial the account, make sure it's coded to the right position or the right location. And then we release the checks.
Okay, so it is a group
Yeah,
work of art.
it was set up on purpose. It's very intentional the way that it's done to make sure that there's multiple people involved in every part of the process.
Any other questions about that particular thing? Okay.
So on item B, there's one other thing. Monica had some technical issues. We've got the March 1st minutes, but the February 1st and the 22nd are going to be put into the next agenda. So we're going to remove February 1st and 22nd from this.
Now, on that, do we have a computer system now that just pretty well copies what is said in here?
No, we have a recording of all of them, and ultimately, it's just, we don't need to have transcripts of the meeting. What we really need to have is this is the item that's being discussed, and ultimately for minutes, generally what you're looking for is basically who said, you know, who makes the motion, who seconds the motion, what is the vote outcome, and what are the, you know, what is that? And then is there any language? So, you know, in some cases like this right here, we're saying that the language for the consent item is changing from acceptance of the financial report, acceptance of the minutes, to just being acceptance of the March 1st minutes. So that will be reflected in her minutes that those changes were made. So those would be really the only things that we're looking for, is what was materially different from the agenda that was posted, or the resolution, or whatever else it is that we're discussing. And it's going to be a little bit of a process, but she's getting her mind wrapped around what it looks like now.
And Monica, she had a car wreck last week and it totaled her car.
Mhm.
Okay.
She was out a couple days, not feeling well, so she's back now. Nothing serious, but she was out for a few days.
Okay.
Just to make it aches and pains.
Yeah.
Okay, good. New business. A, discuss, consider, and act on a resolution of the City Council of the City of New Fairview, Texas, accepting a petition to create the Shoot Ranch Public Improvement District Number 1, calling for a public hearing to consider the feasibility and advisability of establishing the district, authorizing and directing the publication and mailing of notices of the public hearing, and providing an effective date. I received a lot of phone calls. What is this I got in the mail, you know, this last week? And that's
So
part of this, correct?
That's correct. if you look, we have an executive session, regarding the shoot ranch, and I'd like for us to go ahead and go into executive session so we can talk about a few of these items, and then we can come back out and consider the motion, or the issue that the mayor just read.
So for items A, B, and what else, C?
No, items A and B,
Okay,
A,
So-
A and B on new business?
on new business, correct.
so we're gonna go into executive session at 7:13. And I am happy to have had my 2 shots. Have any of you had both shots?
No?
Oh, I will, I see.
Okay, there you go, get that out of your way.
We put that on, we need one more.
Get John to sing for it. While we're at it. John likes to sing.
And my neighbor, dude, like I said, we ordered you the roads that sand, that's why I made it hurt, so they can hear it. My house is, but that shit was my neighbor, you know. What?
Mexico coming out with trucking all across Mexico. I think it's faster than you do with the COVID.
Yeah.
What was it? Yes.
Much nicer in here since we got the air on.
Yes.
What's the other? Ever since that happened, fix it next. Yeah. Tell me, it's, you see some pictures of it. 4 or 5 times. Swell up. Go back. Pictures. Got it. Yes.
Lisa, did you talk to Chris today?
I did talk to Chris today.
He calls me almost every day,
Does
almost every day.
he? He drove by earlier and talked, but I thought he was here tonight, but not here.
He told me he was coming, so something,
That's what he told me as well, so.
he must have made progress on his water or his,
I hope so.
yeah, his sewer or something. And I've told him I'll come help him, and it's always tomorrow.
Do you think it's gonna be like a vacant lot?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. He's had no water for a long time, so yes, it's all dried up. Everything that was in there is dried up, so, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a plumber told him to turn his water back on, and flush it and flush it and flush it, and maybe it would, and it probably will, probably wash whatever it is out.
Well, I hope, you know,
Well, he's, he has no toilets, he has no water, he has no sewer, he has no heat.
I know. I know. Wow.
This is a very, it's kind of a lady group. Ladies.
Yeah. This is a special course.
And it's, this is a snow. It's snow. Super accurate from distance, right? You just take a shooting part of the test. You can work fuses on it. I know it's not long error. She has something.
It's freezing in here.
That's nice.
We're freezing.
Yeah.
Oh. I know that one is.
It was 77 when we started. Well, it's cooling down now, Steve.
Yes, it is. Yep.
Is there more chairs?
Oh, shoot.
Another chair. I'll get it, Steve. Well, you cooled it off from the west.
Oh, yeah, man, that must be a good-sized air conditioner, because it was 77. Now it's 65, 66.
I put my jacket on that.
Well, I just turned it up, so it. There was a lot of activity at the old fire station this morning, where they doing training.
They had a call today about noon.
Yeah, that's what time.
Yeah, they had a call today, which some guy had a heart attack.
Between 11:30 and 12, that's what time. There was
Yeah.
two vehicles there, and two of the doors were open.
Yeah, there's the fire man.
Does somebody send out a advisory every game about the run down?
They don't make it easy. Arnie says that he puts it on the fire station. He has to go pull it down off the Wise County
Website.
website. But it changes, I mean, I don't like the way they do it because you don't know unless you really look. And
Yeah.
the website,
Yeah.
the Lance County website. I mean, it could be fire ban today and off tomorrow. And
Absolutely.
they're back on Wednesday.
Yeah.
You know, it's crazy.
You know, I think the win should be the,
So at
main
12:49,
things.
there was a, 296 private room, 4434, 57-year-old male, Oscar
I
Montana.
know where that is. That's in the Cody Ridge subdivision.
Yeah, it's been a while.
I bet. And it's slow going in there. Oh, my gosh.
Get that trucks in there, just about shattered. You would have a hard time if you lose the flappers. Talking about some of those roads, you go in there with the fire hydrants and that, they're rough.
Cody Ridge,
Oh, yeah.
it's the worst.
$750.
7:50. We're gonna call the meeting back to order, and I guess. Okay. Ben, would you please tell us where we are in the meeting right now?
We are on new business item A, which is the shoe branch that you've seen here. We've got the entire presentation. OC and Jennifer are here as well. If you guys have additional questions you want to ask regarding this. They did bring in a new exhibit that kind of shows over here where the parks are going to be. The green space you can see is basically everywhere you're going to see parks and trails connectivity. And then the new item that we're really looking at is they provided us basically it's the opinion of potential costs, or OPC, is normally what I call it. But you can see what they're looking at from the standpoint of cost of infrastructure in this capital improvement PID is around $285 million. You can see that that's broken down into streets and roadway, drainage, potable water, wastewater, landscape, entry, soft costs, and then issuance costs, stuff of that nature. In addition to this, the second item, item B, is breaking it up into an operations and maintenance PID. The operations and maintenance PID is going to levy an additional tax, which will cover the cost of operating the water and the wastewater system, maintaining the green space, the parks, all that type of stuff, until the tax base is to a point where it can sustain itself.
We know what you're talking about, but everybody else doesn't.
Yeah. So all this information is in the packet, very detailed, shows exactly where it is, what the information is on it. If you guys have questions about it, then, feel free to ask. If you'd like, we can go through the presentation again to let you see what the shoot branch project is going to look like. And as I said, OC and Jennifer are here for questions if you have questions for them.
Is there another pen or pencil?
Yeah.
Right here, Ben. Okay. Jim, Bill.
Okay, thank you.
Questions. Any questions from the citizens?
Anybody want to entertain a motion?
Did you have anything you want to say at this time to clarify any points that you want to make?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
It's really important that everybody knows how much money you're spending, in regard to the city up front. Nobody wants to get on there and read this whole package, so if you could just tell everybody that.
Sure. And also the green space plan that we brought with us tonight for the collection of sheet exhibits. Everything you see there in green, all the open space, community parks, the gathering amenities, community gathering amenities, all those are open to the public. So if you think about, well, will other people in the city be able to access? Everything on that plan in green is publicly accessible.
I'm sorry, I thought you said some of it was gated community.
No, I'm sorry if, there could be.
Is there, okay, an
One
area by the
place.
creek or something was gated?
Right, this,
It's just that one development, so it's hard, just that one.
not very sure that would be gated, but if there was one, that might be. It's a little bit more secluded, and might have been this.
Up there at the very top of that large green area that you were showing me earlier, did you talk about that walkway and everything else? That's gonna be like, like bicycles, and things like that, walk, run, exercise, things like that for the community.
Yes, sir.
Even though it's over here in Cimarron and everywhere, right? In the whole city, right?
That's correct.
They would be accessible to that.
And the areas in the dark green, and there's this one here, and all of this.
And how many miles did you say that was, or?
That's a little over 4,000 single family homes.
No, I mean, as far as that, the walking,
The miles.
the
Public park area.
public walking area,
Yes,
how many miles will it be? Something like 14 or something?
it's about 14 miles of trails
14 miles of trail.
through the whole property. That's correct.
And is there anything in this area, in the DFW area close to that?
No, sir. Not-
So
not-
it'd be exclusive to New Fairview,
I think so.
yeah.
I think so. But I wanted to point out that the very dark green areas, ball fields here, and then all that dark green, that's about 120 acres. And if you just went straight by the city's code on how many acres you'd have to dedicate to the city for parkland, based on the number of units you have, it'd be about 66 acres. So this is twice as much.
Twice as much.
That's being dedicated to the city, that the city would own. But all the green areas on that plan, even the dark green and light green, will be open to the public.
Can we could I take photos of that?
We're gonna get this electronically. Everything that's here is up on the website, and it's also, we publish it out on Facebook and other places. So we will get these electronic exhibits and we'll send them out as well.
Great.
And I know tonight we have a PID petition on the agenda for consideration by council. We've also provided the cost estimates of all the public infrastructure that would be built over probably a 20-year period. And that was about $290 million. Roads, water, sewer, drainage, all those things, trails, streetlights, everything that is necessary to support the development from a public infrastructure.
How will you, where are you gonna put the streetlights at? Are they at the corners or down through the center and at the corners, or how?
Typically on the divided roadways, they're in the median.
In the media? But I mean, the spacing
They're typically 150 to 200 feet
apart.
apart. And we'll be using LED lighting,
LED.
low shielded lighting to keep the area in the dark sky concept for street lighting.
Yeah, so that people can see something going on down the road.
Right. Typically, you have a little bit more lighting on your major roadways, and then the intensity of lighting drops down as you get into the neighborhoods, so it's less intense.
We don't want a bunch of good crap.
But that's all I have, additional information for you. If there's any question, Jennifer and Alexander and I are here, be happy to answer your questions.
I think this is gonna be a great addition for the city, to get, for the residents to be able to get out, have parks and ballparks to go to, take the kids and playgrounds
In a build out, this will generate, $4 million a year in tax revenue of 30 cents. And it's going to be something that creates a base and a sustainable revenue stream for the city to operate.
I make a motion that we accept this written hearing, discuss, consider act, resolution of the city council of Fairview, Texas, accepting petition to create a shoot range public improvement district number 1, calling for a public hearing to consider feasibility and advisability of establishing a district, authorizing, directing publication and mailing notices of public hearing and providing an effective date. I make a motion to accept that.
I second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor? I see 4 hands going up. So it passes unanimously for the people that are here tonight. And that takes care of A and,
Now, you do item B separately. This is the authorized services. Basically, this is the operation and maintenance portion of the bid.
We discussed it, I'll make a motion that we approve item 6B as written.
I second it.
okay, we have a motion and a second on B. Any other discussion about this? Okay, then we have a motion and a second. All in favor? And no one is opposed? And that passes. Very good. Now we will go to the next item on the agenda.
6C.
C, discuss, consider, and act on a resolution of the City Council of the City of New Fairview, Texas, authorizing the city administrator to enter into an agreement with SPI Incorporated to complete an application for the City of New Fairview to establish a certificate of convenience and need, CCN, for a water and wastewater system and resolving other matters incident and related thereto. Ben, would you explain that in our language a little bit more?
And just for clarity, tell us who SBI is. We know.
Yes. So, first off, SPI is Schaumburg and Koch. They're the ones that completed the water and wastewater feasibility study and presented to you in February 22nd. They came back. We actually reached out to 3 different groups. We reached out to TOS, our law firm. We reached out to Pacheco Koch for the engineering and application process, and then Schaumburg and Koch. Schaumburg and Koch came back with the best value, and they've already started kind of the ball rolling with that water feasibility study, so it makes sense to continue down that path. What this is going to do is this is going to be completing some additional engineering, potential site planning, and completing an application that we would submit to the Public Utility Commission to establish a, sorry, the bugs in here, to establish a geographic area where the city would provide water and wastewater service. So ultimately, with this development and with Constellation Lakes coming in, it provides a funding source. You know, a fair amount of that $290 million is going to be looking at getting water transmission lines and fresh water here or surface water here to the city of New Fairview. So we have some mechanisms in place to help offset the cost of getting water to the city of New Fairview. And we're ultimately going to be in the water and the sewer business with these developments coming on board. So this is establishing the first kind of step in memorializing that and going to the state and telling them, hey, we're going to start offering these services. We create the geographic boundaries where that's going to look like, and we go through an approval process. Now, Wise County is on an expedited approval list. So normally this takes about 12 months, but what we're hearing is they anticipate this being completed in anywhere between 3 and 4 months for us to get the CCN back. Once that's completed, then the city has the authority, I guess you could say, to operate a water and a sewer system.
And it's gonna encompass all of New Fairview.
Well, it may encompass more than the city of New Fairview, because if we have to take water, depending upon where we get water from, which is still kind of in the air, there's a number of options available to us still. Wherever that takeoff is, you know, if it's coming up 407 from Justin and in that direction, we may end up taking CCN that goes to that point in our ETJ, or even beyond that, because we need to be able to get out there. That's gonna be where we're going to be responsible for the transmission lines and stuff of that nature. So those are gonna be dependent upon where we're at, but absolutely the city limits itself will for certain be included in that, and more than likely we'll try and incorporate the ETJ as well.
Even down 2264.
Yes,
So with the contribution from Shoot Grants and Constellation Lake, the cost to the city is gonna be.
nothing. Yeah, they've agreed to cover the cost of the application.
I make a motion that we approve item 6C.
I second.
We second. Very excited.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. How many are in? Do we have any other discussion? Okay, then, all in favor? Anyone opposed? No. Goes. I'd like to ask you guys, how do you feel about the water? How is it coming across to you? Is it scary? Do you think it's gonna get here in time, or how are you feeling? Because the water is extremely important in your project, right?
I think we have two really good options, Upper Trinity and City of Fort Worth. There are other options out there, but those two, I think, are very promising.
Upper Trinity is from the east.
Upper Trinity coming from the east, down 407 likely. Fort
And
Worth,
just
a couple
has
options.
that, right?
So, yeah, I'm thrilled that we have more than one option to look at. So I think they're both viable, and we've looked at the numbers both ways, and it works.
So this is gonna all be in place before you start.
Yeah,
Or at least approval.
Because you can't start without.
You can't start without one. Yeah.
And you're not doing any
Constellation
wells.
is the same way, no wells. Not for potable water.
Huh?
No wells for potable water. It has to all be surface water.
That's good.
But you're not doing wells for anything, I mean, at all, for your whole project.
Sometimes we would do groundwater wells to keep lakes full or for irrigation for some areas. That's a possibility, but not for potable water.
That's good.
Yeah, I think it's very.
Well, in the cost, like we had Aqua Texas on the Falcon Bridge, you were in that need. And I know that you probably talked to them a lot. That one well on that property cost them 1.5 million, correct? To get the filter systems in it, et cetera.
Who's this, Jim?
Falcon Bridge right there at County Line Road. And that night, about 3 months ago, he stood up and said, it costs 1.5. And that doesn't provide water for many people.
So I'm sorry, I'm gonna be repeating myself, I guess I got lost somewhere in translation. So you're not doing any wells, you're getting it for any reason, or you are?
We may do wells for irrigation and to keep lakes.
Lakes and stuff.
Yeah. It's really too early yet to understand what that's going to be yet. What we don't want to do is use potable water for irrigation.
It gets really expensive for us to put treated water on all this type of green space that we're talking about for irrigation purposes. So there may be some points where it makes sense for us to look at wells for irrigation purposes.
So you treat it like a secondary water system.
Correct. The other thing about it is if the city of Fort Worth or Justin comes out and says we're doing water restrictions, you potentially have all these green spaces and parks that dry up and die, because they can tell you no more. So there's always some benefit of having some redundancy in your systems where you have the ability to do things you need to do.
John's got a question.
I guess, coming from, looking from Collin County, those wells that he's talking about, maybe looking at green spaces, those will be very shallow, they will not bother anybody's water table. They will not be at any table that we use to drink. That's the way they were in the city of Union. They're not.
And at what point, at how many will it? I mean, is there a cutoff?
So,
It's never gonna get that, it's not that deep.
Because I was under the impression that we're not doing,
yeah, so to your point though, Julie, we're gonna take more people off of water well by having surface water here than you'll be adding wells at this location. So if you think about this with with surface water becoming available, new homes that are coming in, this is right next to King Cannon Lane right now, they have no option but to drill wells.
Right.
So you're looking at 10 lots, I think, off of King Cannon Lane there. How many lots are there, 10?
I'm not sure.
They thought they were gonna be able to get Aqua Texas. Aqua Texas says we're not gonna serve, so they're all gonna be drilling wells. If you have water in close proximity.
2 acre, 2.5
Yeah.
acre lot?
So, you're talking about a few wells, in this case right here, to be able to provide some redundancy, watering. It costs a lot less from the standpoint of maintaining it, and ultimately, the city's gonna probably be on the hook to maintain these, and having those water wells are gonna be to our benefit. But when you're talking about spending, 50% of the cost of your water is treating it, and you're putting it out on grass, you're gonna be spending a lot of money, treating that water to water lawns. So there is a place and a purpose for wells. It's not gonna be impactful to the community. And in the long run, you're gonna be taking way more people off of wells than you'll be adding in doing something of this nature.
And I think,
Do you think maybe if you might want to come back with some kind of policy that said not to allow more than one water well per 100 acres or one per 50 acres? Because they're gonna have like 1,800 acres in there. That, are you following some kind of, like, would you like something like that?
Possibly.
If we're,
we can pull it from different aquifers, right? I mean, the primary aquifer that feeds most of the homes in Fairview is
The Biloxi.
the Biloxi.
yeah, the shallow.
So what aquifer will you be pulling water from for watering the green areas?
Normally we go to the Trinity Sands for a community well like that.
Okay.
I think I've drawn parallels between this project and Lantana several times, but in Lantana, we had golf course and all the, parks and community and roadway landscaping. It's one Trinity well for the whole project.
Okay.
And actually, the site
That's a
already has two
beautiful area.
treated wells out there already that were put in by the mineral operator. There are 2 Trinity wells out there.
Are you gonna be able to use some of the bright ponds? Y'all are probably talking about that with them.
No, we have not talked to that.
And the bright ponds are on the place that for the gas companies, and they're established.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Okay.
Where we at, Mr. Mayor?
We are at D, discuss, consider, and act on a resolution authorizing the city administrator to enter into an agreement with ETC to conduct a citizen survey.
So after our last meeting, I went back and talked to them, gave them some of the concerns that were brought up. They feel pretty confident that they'd be able to provide us enough responses if we're willing to work with them, help them to get the information out, push it out on our website, push it out through our email system, and give them the ability to have maybe a little bit more time, they can get us more results. So as long as we're not driven by a timeline that we have to have it by, April 15th or, May 1st or whatever that looks like, then they're confident that they can get us the results that we're looking for. Also, we were able to come to an arrangement where they reduced the fee from $9,000 to $7,500. And I would recommend that this is something that we do from a standpoint of getting ready for the budget process for the upcoming year. It will help us, it'll give us a tool that we can look at and we can start to really measure and see what it is the community wants us to focus our time and energy and resources on.
I'm all for trying to understand what the community wants.
I agree.
How much is this costing?
$7,500. That includes a 6-page survey that we get to develop the questions. There's gonna be some of them that are gonna be fairly standard, so you can do some benchmarking type of other communities in the area in Texas, United States. But then there'll be a fair number of them that are customized to our community specifically as to things that we'd like to see.
Makes good sense.
Is this one time?
Yeah, there's no recurring contract, this is a one-time thing, we can come back at a later time if we want to, and we can, retest after we've implemented and we're working on it, and, we have the option to come back and do it later if we want.
And to repeat again, this helps with doing grants.
Well, this is really more from the standpoint, to your point, the city is collecting a lot of money in property taxes. And where are we spending those dollars, and do those dollars align with what the community wants to see? Well, right now, we've heard roads, and we're about to start a project on roads. And once we get those roads brought up, now the focus might shift a little bit, and we might have some people saying, hey, we want to see some other things, and these are the things that we want to look at. So more than anything, this is giving us a tool to reach out to the community, get their input and their feedback. When we enter into the budget season this year, then we can come back and we can discuss it with real data, instead of having a thought of, well, this is where we should spend our money. We'll look at what people in the community really want.
Now, we have, the city have full rights to the survey and question all the data that's attached.
They give us back all the data, they'll cross-tab it, they'll give it back to us, analyzed, so you can slice it and dice it across the two of them. Yeah, we've got full access to it.
What is that light keeps coming off and on?
That right there is a security camera. We put a camera in.
It's motion activated?
Yeah. So there's a camera in at all of the points of ingress and egress in the city now.
Okay. In line. The $3 million in the first phase of Chisholm, that covers how much at Chisholm?
We don't know that yet. We're gonna have to.
You had the maps where you had green, yellow, blue, whatever. Think that 3 million would cover about half of the roads right now?
I would say maybe a third.
A third of the roads
Yeah.
will be fixed in Chisholm.
Well, so it's not gonna be that.
Well, you're gonna use other funds too, because you're getting a $400,000 to
Well, we're trying to do that
$500 grant.
Right now, we're up to 75, 80 responses in the community. We need 300. We still have people on the council asking people not to complete the survey. So it creates a difficult situation for us. But we've got $350,000 potentially that we can access through a grant if we can get the community to participate. We've started making phone calls. That's where we're getting most of the responses now. And we're going to go ahead and probably have Josh going out with some door knockers and knocking and leaving some information on the doors so that we can try and get those numbers where we need them to be.
Can we let everybody know, we know the benefits of doing it, so as you said, we have somebody in the city council telling everybody, not do it, and warning them, and how do we combat that obstacle and let everybody know that it's safe?
Well, I mean, you can send them to the city's webpage, which has the grant information from the state's website, the Texas Development or Community Development Block Grant. It also has on that same page, it shows the link to the survey that we have to complete. Everything that we're doing is something that either the federal government is requiring of the state or the state is requiring from us. One of the questions on there is talking about the race of the people who live in the home. And, we've got a fair number of people that are just upset that we'd be asking that information. We don't have control over that. It's part of the questionnaire that the government requires.
But if they don't answer that particular question, then the survey is still good.
No,
It's not, they have to answer every question.
we have to complete the survey and turn it in. Once the surveys are completed, we submit those into them and they actually go through and do a review. If we get enough people to complete it and the survey is certified, then that survey is good for 5 years, which means we can use those findings to go back and reapply for this grant again. So, there's a lot of value to this survey being completed in a.
Well, the value is we're gonna have some money to do something.
Yeah.
Would anybody like to address what the negative aspect of that would be? Why we're telling people to not do it?
I advise people not to give their income.
You don't give your income.
I'm all for doing the survey, but not
But that's,
The government doesn't ask that on the United States Census every 10 years, so why?
Because this is focused on low to moderate income areas. We can't go spend these dollars in an area where people are doing well. They want to basically look at it and say, we're making an investment in a part of the community that is low to moderate income. And unless they ask that question, they can't meet the algorithm, the formula that they're looking
So
for.
that's so if the survey was completed by the 300 resident households in that area, then where's the money going?
It goes into the area that qualifies as low to moderate income.
Where's that?
Low to medium income.
I honestly, I don't know. I would assume right now there's areas in Hilltop, because it's not necessarily the entire development. It can be a block area. It can be a street. It can be, wherever. But honestly, I don't know where it's gonna come up. I know Martindale's coming back and they're gonna complete. But I think the last time I talked to them, they've got almost 80% of the people in their street to complete it, which means if they get that completed and the rest of the community doesn't, and they meet the criteria, then we'll spend $350,000 if we get it on Martindale. So
Martindale was private road.
private road can be dedicated to the city and can be improved. This is one of those deals where it is absolutely not to your benefit to not complete the survey.
But the private road has to be brought up to city standards before it's accepted. Is that not true?
So there's a couple of things that's not on the agenda, so we can't really talk about it in details, but I'm more than happy to walk you through the conversations that we've had and what we're talking about.
How do we validate that the data is accurate?
We don't.
If you put your income on there, say make $20,000 a year.
The federal government or the state is
Right.
responsible for validating the surveys.
It's not our job to do that. This is the state, it's, paperwork coming right from the government, it's,
Yeah, I just don't want to go spend $7,500 and then have people, that comes in and it's bogus because people, if they can see the benefit, people are going to put down truthful data, I believe.
But
But
what
they
is,
don't ask you how much you make. They ask you if you make above or below a certain amount.
is that
That's
the
all they
question?
ask.
Is that the question?
Depending upon how many people that live in your household. Because that is establishing the level that they use for low to moderate.
And I think it's important because I fill a lot of surveys and I don't always answer all the questions.
So what is the question exactly?
Somebody's got to answer them all.
I can get it for you.
About
As long as
income?
long as it doesn't ask for a specific.
No, it does not. I've done a
Then I'll
survey.
support it.
It asks you, depending on if there's 2 people or 4
You
people.
didn't see the survey?
Maybe they should read it.
Yeah, because you're not
I got it.
asking for your personal information. All they're saying is, if you make this, you do 2
Well,
households. you make
evidently, if
an
only
hour.
75 or 80 people in the city have filled it out, then they didn't read it either.
right. And that just goes, words matter. So when you get on social media and you say stuff, and it just makes the city council kind of look like we don't know what we're doing or putting us against each other, I think, needs to be addressed at some point and fixed. But publicly telling the city not to do something when you don't know what it says is a little dangerous.
I said, don't reveal your income. That's all I said.
Well, it's not, but.
Yeah, if myself or somebody else want to cheat on taxes, can't be telling the government what you make.
Well, hopefully you're not cheating on that.
I didn't say I was. Yeah, as long as it doesn't ask for a specific amount, I'll support it.
We've gone far afield. Item C is still item D is still on the table as to whether or not you guys would like to.
Item D is in dog.
Yeah.
I make a motion that we approve item D as written.
I second that.
Okay, we have a motion and second. Any discussion? We had a good discussion
We did.
and
Got a little off subject.
So, let's, I don't know what all we can do as a council, but let's, get on there, let's encourage people to do this, so we can get this in, get the data into our system, so we can get it forward and get some grant money. We need it.
And once again, it's sent to all
It's in every email that I send out, it's on the webpage, it's on Facebook, I send it out, Brooke is calling every single
Is
person.
it,
in
the
the
citizen
city.
survey is going out snail mail, USPS,
It's gonna
right?
be going out snail mail, it's gonna be going out websites, it's
Okay.
gonna be going out a variety of means as well.
All right.
Let's do it.
So we have a motion second, right?
Yes.
the motion is second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Okay, that, it passes. Now we go to the work session. No action will be taken during the work session. The work session provides the council an opportunity to discuss consent items, receive and provide information regarding agenda items and presentations from the staff. Letter A, discuss with staff the social media policy. And I'm turning it over to you, Ben.
So, social media is a tool for communicating. It's becoming more and more important for basically any organization or entity that's wanting to engage with the people that they're working with. You can see in here from 2012 to 2019, it's increased from around 55% to 70% approximately. 3/4 of those people are getting onto those sites on a daily basis. When you post something, it hits their phone and it alerts them, and they pick it up and they read it. If you watch the Netflix documentary, Social Dilemma.
That's
Yeah.
very interesting.
You can see from the standpoint that people are more engaged with it, they interact with it more. As you can see, as we've been talking about previously, the engagement of some of the council members has been on there as well. We use it substantially. Since I've been here, the city's growth on the Facebook page is almost 400%, from people coming to there to access and obtain information. Our engagement from the people that are actually coming to the website or to the Facebook page has increased by, 3,000 to 4,000%. So we're getting more people to come and they're getting more engaged with the content. At the same time frame of putting the same information on our website, we've only seen maybe 100% increase, and they're really coming for one item, which is the agenda. That's really what they're coming for. We get a few.
Now you're talking, just to clarify, you're talking about a Fairview website?
I'm talking about Facebook has the large increase in engagement.
About how many people participate in that?
On the city's website, or the city's Facebook page right now, I think we have around 200 people that are following the
They
page.
go on and on, okay.
Yeah, and about 75% of those 200 people are on there every day.
So
And
they're
how many
actually
closed ones?
following.
Huh?
How many closed websites are there?
Oh, the closed Facebook pages that we participate in, I don't know, there's probably 120. There's two primary pages,
Primary.
about 100 people per page.
And they're called what? What are the different?
People and.
Texas, or New Fairview, Texas City, or something like that.
Yes.
There you go.
So what?
And the reason I'm kind of ignorant about that is because I don't pass the smell test to get on there, which I understand.
I don't know
Since-
why. I mean, I don't know, I've never seen.
The second one.
I just, since the property taxes and everything
There
else,
was another site, I know, there was a lot of people that passed smell test. I don't think that's the case anymore.
I don't think.
well, and I
that's-
took Ben's advice. Ben told me, stay off of it. And so I did.
It says policy in current form directs actions of staff.
So in the packet, I put a sample policy for you guys to look at. This is a discussion item, and I wanted you guys to review it and kind of see what it talks about. But ultimately what it does is it creates some guidelines and said, these are the processes that the city's going to follow. If there is content that is unbecoming, that the city will take some type of action. The one thing it is focused on, the one that I provided to you, is strictly focused on staff. And I've had a couple of the council members who said they would like to see something regarding social media policies being directed towards the council as well. So that's something that we could talk about in the future, and you guys could look at adding some type of language regarding social media activity and decorum, stuff of that nature, into your procedures and decorum guide or policy.
Anti-bullying.
Whatever you guys would like to do in that regard. But ultimately, what I just wanted to bring it forward to you guys, because this is something that, we're engaging right now. And to the mayor previously said, well, the previous guy that was sitting in your chair, Ben, he just hired somebody. Well, he hired somebody because there was no guideline saying this is the process that has to be gone through. He was hired to run the city, and he went out and hired somebody. We've since then adopted additional policies and procedures that outline what's the process that we're going to go through. And this just kind of realizes how is the staff going to interact with the community and spread information through social media avenues. Again, this was just giving you the information, letting you see what what it looks like. I'm going to be bringing it back again on the next meeting for you guys to consider as an action item to approve it. If there's anything that you'd like to see language-wise or additions to it, please get back to me, let me know what you'd like to do, and we can make those types of changes to it at that point.
I will confess for my wife. She got kicked off Facebook this last week. She posted a picture of a bird.
Of what?
A bird.
A bird?
A pretty robin, a bird. But it was connected to an organization
Oh, God.
that Facebook didn't like.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
they said, since you posted that, you're off.
You have to.
You're in jail for 3 days.
To-
And she was going, just posted a picture of the bird that I thought everybody would like, but it had some add-ons to it. It's wild out there in high tech. And that Social Dilemma movie is scary. And it is really timed well with everything happening with high tech, politics, government.
Can we go on, Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, okay. So, the next item is
7B.
discuss with staff options regarding dark sky initiatives.
So this is something that's it's been pushed from like my second month here until now. We just really had full agenda since we haven't really had an opportunity to talk about it. I believe OC actually mentioned something about this when they were talking about their development. This is a direction that a lot of cities are moving, is to create shielded lighting. You can kind of see an example of one on the top there. The top image is not shielded. You can see the light radiates upward instead of being focused down. It basically is called light pollution. That light creates a glow on the horizon. You can see the areas where you're driving into large population areas. It also makes it to where you can't see the stars. And part of a sense of feel of a rural community is being able to go outside, look up, and you can see the stars. And so there's a lot of cities that have started to regulate what those lighting looks like inside of their city limits, creating areas where you can do some of that higher intensity, but focusing it downward. It does cost some to do it, because with that shielding, you have a narrower scope of where it's being able to access it to. Lots of times the aspect of this is not only shielding it, but taking it from such a high point down to a lower point. And so you have to have more of the poles put in place in order to light the areas that you're looking to light. But it is something that a number of cities have adopted, and when you drive through them, you can really tell a difference from when you're driving through a normal city that has not done anything. There's that glare all the time, it's always there, omnipresent. And when you hit one of these communities that has a dark sky policy, it's like getting back out into an old country trail or lane, and you're driving through it, and you don't really see the light.
You see the glow coming out behind the mountain.
Yeah. And again, this is basically just designed for the most part, and then also making sure you're looking at the type of lights that are being installed. If you have that unshielded, that light's just going to go everywhere. It can be partially shielded or fully shielded. All of these things are just design structures and putting in the right type of lights and what it looks like. But it's something that I think the council should consider from the standpoint that what I've heard consistently from everybody in the community is they want to be able to go outside and want to be able to see the stars. And I've got people that live on Graham Road right now. When Texas Pistols came out, they put in these big lights out in their parking lot because they said we need to make sure that we keep our visitors safe. When they're exiting the building, they need to be able to get to their car and see what's going on. And I think they have just 2 or 3 lights, and they're up mounted very high, and they are bright. And the neighbors around there said, I used to be able to come out at night, sit in my hot tub, and I could see the stars. And she's like, now I can't until 11.
So these aren't shielded,
Their lights are not shielded. So this is something that I think that the sooner we have the conversation, before we see significant development occurring, is going through this process of defining this and making it, giving them a very intentional review so that we know what we want to have when it comes out. Then as projects come along and as we start to see development, then we can make sure that this type of stuff happens so that even when you are coming out of your house in a developed area, you can still look up and see the stars. Do you have an interest in having this, further information and discussing this further? The Planning and Zoning Commission is going to be, we're setting up the times and getting the meetings put together. This would be something that would probably go to them first. We would update it through our zoning ordinance and then bring it to the council for approval if it's something that the council would like to entertain.
And I know Charlie Martin, right down the road on Martindale Lane, we would leave the fire hall lights on.
Yeah.
And we didn't think anything about it at the beginning. We were looking at safety, but Charlie said, would y'all please turn those lights off? Because even from the fire hall, it was lighting up all that neighborhood down there.
So our own lights here are not shielded?
They're on a timer.
Our lights are on a timer now.
That doesn't mean shielded.
Well, no, I have to look and see. I think some of the lights that we have here are coaster lights or our utility provider, and I'm pretty sure those are not shielded lights. They might be partially, but I don't think they are. But the lights that we have over on the building, I think those were internal lights is what they were talking about from the standpoint of what they were wanting.
So they have external lights all the way down.
Well, we can look at that.
We have to practice what we preach.
Oh, absolutely. I agree.
And that has been resolved. They went in there and worked on that. Yeah. And having the firemen in there, that helps out too, because they go over and check it when I can swear.
Yes, I would be interested in.
Yeah, I think, part of it, especially, look at the Shoe Branch thing here.
Yeah.
The goal is to keep a kind of a rural look, even though you've got some build out inside of it, but it still gives you a rural look. We want to keep that lighting as well.
Yeah, but you don't want to put the lighting so far down that you have riffraff come walking around and say, oh, there's no light there, he's gonna go over and get in that area. That could be in between the house and back in the window.
I don't think that's the intent. It may take more lights, but it's gonna be kept lower so it's not, ruining the skyline.
Oh, see, I know Westlake does it. Do you know any other cities that, I don't know off the top of my head, that do the dark sky out here?
Salina is a dark sky city, Granbury.
So what I would say, if you guys want to see kind of what it looks like, just, Westlake, Salina, Granbury, if you go drive through one of those and you get there at nighttime, you'll see a huge difference from there versus driving through Burleson or driving through, some of these other cities that just do not practice that. Yeah. So we'll go ahead and we'll put this on the agenda for the Planning and Zoning Commission. We'll work through something and we'll bring something forward for the council to look at.
Have you been able to have a meeting with them yet?
So no,
Planning and zoning.
we were going to try and do something half day, similar to what we did for orientation with the council. And what we've discovered is that a half day is really not going to be
Sufficient.
well, it's not going to be able to be put together. So we're probably going to have to break it up into 2-hour meetings in the evening time frame. So we're still trying to identify what those look like. But we're going to have those starting in the next week or so. And Mayor, that's everything that I have. The final item was an item that you requested to discuss with the council. It's the options regarding a debate or some type of a forum for the upcoming election.
Well, we have several running for the mayor's position, and then we have some council members.
Just one that's opposed.
One that is opposed. So, and who is that going to be running against you? Sidney Poe, and John Taylor doesn't have anybody running against him,
No.
and he's taking your position.
Right.
Okay, and my question was, how are we gonna?
I got a question here. John Taylor's taking your position?
Right, because he's running unopposed. Running for
Assuming,
mayor.
assuming that he won mayor.
Well, he's, I think no one's off, no matter
You're
what.
off, I'm off if I don't get mayor.
Yeah, that's one of those.
That's the risk.
Gamble, yeah, gambles in politics.
Okay, but it's not gonna happen until,
What?
it's not, he's not gonna be,
No, not until that election.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm all right, I'm ready to see, okay.
Got some worthy opponents out here, so.
So, do we want to have that strictly on writing on the website? Or do we want to send it out in a newsletter? Or do we want to have it one of our meetings where the candidates speak and answer some questions here for like
We did
10
that for
minutes?
PNC.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's the council's choice. If you'd like to make it available, I mean, honestly, I think you've got John and Cindy and Walter here. So everybody, and Harvey and Lisa. So everybody that's on the ballot potentially is in the room right now. You guys could kind of discuss amongst yourselves whether or not that's something they'd like to do. From the standpoint of when you do it, you could do it in a meeting, you could do it on a separate night to focus just on
Can't
that.
we do it in open forum?
Well, you could have them come up and talk during an open forum. I mean, that's an option for you guys to look at and consider as to how you'd like to do it.
If you think back about the way we did it with the planning and zoning, you had each one of them come up and say something to everybody at that time. I would like to.
So that, the planning and zoning thing is a little different because the council is appointing people to this. This is people that are running for office, so they have the choice of whether they want to participate or not. But again, you have the people in the room, you can talk to them and ask them how they would like to potentially have that work.
I'll throw
One
out
thing-
what I would like to have, and then y'all can argue the fact about why you don't want to have it.
One thing though, we did have somebody reach out and get in touch with each of you, and I believe that they've reached out. Lisa, have you heard from Cassia yet? Okay, so she should be getting in touch with you anytime now. We've compiled profiles, huh?
Casey.
Casey? Yeah,
Casey.
Casey.
She says it's easy with a K.
Oh, Casey.
Who is that?
She's been helping us with profiles. She's reached out to you. So those have been completed for the council. And she's going to be working with the people that are on the candidate list as well. So as soon as we get those, we're going to get them on the website. So we will have a profile for each one of the candidates and anybody that's already on the council that's running unopposed. And we'll maintain that on the site as we're moving forward as well.
You know, I think, I'll just speak as one of the potential runners here, one of the runners is, I think if we could orchestrate, get the city here, you know, a significant number of people here to come and ask questions, I think it'd be cool. I think it'd be a great opportunity for us as a city, one, to understand what they're looking for in a mayor or a council seat, or what they're looking for, period, in the city. So I think that might be a good opportunity for us to get the city here, as many as we can, and we can have a discussion on what we think, in our particular position that we're running for.
Has the Wise County mayor contacted you, y'all?
No, nobody contacted me.
Messenger hasn't contacted you.
No,
They did for the last council election.
He's right
They
there.
didn't contact me at all.
Working on people's email addresses right now.
So y'all are gonna do that?
Yes.
Okay, okay.
Well, nobody contacted me on that. They did.
Yes, I sent an email.
He
You
did.
sent,
He
sent an
sent
email?
us all a request.
Yes, I did.
Oh.
Yeah,
I must have ignored it.
If we bring people together and get 3 people, I'm not sure how effective that is, but, you know, we can give it a try. I mean, I'd love to see 100 people show up or 200 people show up.
Hey,
Well, the last time we
Just-
had
just
a deal,
Just put on the agenda, we're gonna raise taxes, everybody should.
Boy, that worked.
No,
We packed this room, didn't we?
I know how to do that.
The last time we all came down here when we were running. And we had a little get together out here. How many people showed there? One,
Not very many.
not very many.
Well, that's my point.
But I didn't have a problem, and I still don't. If we wanna have a debate,
When we did the open house and we did the burgers out there, we had 75 people show up.
75?
And I think all the candidates were there for that.
Yes. I'm
What
open.
do you guys think? It's been quiet out there.
Yeah.
Lisa?
Well, I do believe that having, a meet and greet, where, citizens can come and meet us, and all of us, and ask questions, I think that is definitely the way to go. But I also know that trying to get people to come to gatherings, events, anything is really, really hard. Working with the school district, I mean, it's like you have to brag.
Yep.
We're gonna give you free food.
That's right.
Seriously. So, I mean.
Yeah, that's
something
one
we
to
can
show
look at,
it.
you know?
That's
right.
It had to be T-bone for me.
Yeah.
But yes, I'm all for it.
You're the candidate that works in the school district.
That's me,
Okay.
yes. For 22 years.
Which school district, Northwest?
Thank you.
Northwest, yes.
Where's Northwest?
Northwest ISD, 262 square miles.
I don't know, all I know is Pasco, so I don't know.
Don't just look at your tax bill, you know where it's at.
Yeah, I know, right?
I'm not in that.
They're
Well,
Decatur.
maybe there's a way, we can-
They're Decatur.
There's a case.
maybe there's a way we can do some of this. A lot of people might feel more comfortable online. Is there a way that they can interact?
So we did have that. So when we did the city administrators update, we had, 8 or 9 people show up in the room, and we had another 9 or 12 people that got onto the,
So if nobody wants to come in person, some people still don't feel safe
Yeah.
that way,
They can do the Zoom.
right,
the
then
virtual.
they can do it online and then maybe ask questions that way.
It'd be hard for them to eat a burger or something virtually, but,
Just trying to make everybody happy.
Okay.
Okay. So, making a decision on that, do you want to have it April the 5th? And have it right in here?
well, April the 5th, we're gonna have an agenda that's gonna be fairly substantial, so I don't know that you wanna try and tie that up into the same.
Do you want to have it 2 weeks beforehand? or
Ben,
one-
we don't want, we agreed to have 2 meetings a month, so we don't have meetings till midnight.
I understand, and as I said before, lots of times the agenda is not driven completely by me, so we're gonna have some items on it. I don't know that you want to incorporate something, right now, we're at 8:50, if you put in
And this was a short agenda, yes.
and if you put in an open house and people come in here and start talking, you're talking about another hour, 2 hours, whatever that looks like, so you want to layer that
Open
in.
house versus give everybody, a few minutes to speak, like we did at the PNC. Or we can have a separate, whatever.
Yeah, like I said, your choice, you guys, if you wanna do it on April 5th, we'll make it available, if they show up, they show up.
I
What
think,
to do.
I think it'd be better if we did it separate from the city council meetings. Really do.
You want to come up the third
Hmm?
time? You want to come up the third time next month?
Good, come up 4 times.
Well, I know, but I was just teasing with you.
Yeah, I mean, that's
Where a
what
lot of
it takes,
people are saying,
Having a separate one would be more focused.
I think it would be, I think more people would show up on a Saturday than afternoon than on Monday night.
I agree.
Weekend. So I'm good on a Saturday afternoon or something.
I agree that a Saturday would be good, or even open it up to the public prior to the start of the meeting.
You know what?
So 6:30, from 6 to 7, have the meet and greet. People on the way with words and stuff, they can come up here. That
takes
way-
me an hour to get from my work here, so I need to get off at 6, there's no way I can be here till 6:30.
Well, I understand that.
You work Saturday?
Sometimes
I do,
she does, but you're not running.
right, but I don't have to be here, I guess.
Cindy will talk for you,
So what if
Walter.
you know,
You're right.
every night.
Sandy will talk to you,
Long trash
Walter.
day, and that'd give everybody a reason to come.
Well, I think that's a few months away, but we will have another one coming up.
Okay.
Okay, we're gonna go to executive session. Was there anything when we went to executive?
We're finished.
Okay, we're on A.
Yeah, so we're finished with the executive session portions of it. Those are done. We're now to, item 9. Consider and take action on matters discussed in the executive session.
Okay, you have anything you want us to talk about on A, or is A complete with when we did?
That was just updating the council as to what those negotiations are looking like.
And then B is the next one on personal matters.
Mhm.
Okay, and one of the items was on me. And so I would like to have a minute or two to talk about that.
Your meeting here.
Okay, so anyway, what the problem with me was, I send emails that usually refer to agenda items. Some notes. Over the years, Monica and I did the agenda items, and we did the research, and we put packets out to all the members, much like you do. But you're here full time. You get paid for it, which I'm glad you do. And during the last year, we've had a transition of going from Monica and I to being able to get the money from property taxes to be able to hire you to do a lot more of the work, and before you, the interim. But as mayor, whenever we have different items to come up on agenda, the way I get items on the agenda are to make a request to you, correct? For them to be placed on the agenda. If I want something on the agenda for a meeting, I, by myself, can request that to be on the agenda.
Yes.
Correct. Okay. So I write a letter to you, and usually to 2 or 3 other people. At times it had been to Bradley, our attorney, where he would know about it, or Barry Hudson. And then I also sent the letters to like Steve. And then when I got Nolan's address, I also sent it to Nolan, because I like to have documentation of what I said, and I like for 2 people on the council to be able to know what I'm requesting. And then it gives me documentation for in the future. There's no question that I requested an item to be on there. Now, some of the items that I've worked on during the last 4 months, and I went back and copied off the emails that I had to look and double check what I did on those. Because whenever I was mayor with Monica, we would always try to write at the top of it, do not reply to this. This is something for you to study instead of giving it to you at the meeting, and then it be 10 pages long, and all of us sit here and read through all that information. Same thing with you. You get one of the packets was 700 pages long, but it was real 300 and something of that was on the new ordinance, correct, the website. Other items that I had been concerned about was the progress of the website. Over and over, I have asked you to make sure, I've encouraged you to have professionals, keep the professionals working, pardon me.
Would it be helpful, just, because I'm a little lost in context, I mean, I'm not lost, but I'm thinking that our citizens might be lost in context. This is all around an open meeting law that is in place for any public servant.
And I will go ahead and I'll make that
And
point too.
we need to make that point, so I think, so it means something to what we're going through.
Okay, so anyway, I have these emails that I sent. There was purpose. There were items that I wanted to have on the agenda. And I would send it to Noah and I would send it to Steve. I used to just send it to Steve and then Noah got appointed on and I had his address. So I had two people that I could send it to. And one of the emails, and I would usually get replies back from Ben, and I would get replies from, I didn't really get any replies that much. If it wasn't you, we debated about whether to have it. Like you talked about, you were able to do what we were doing right now without spending as much money on the professionals. One of the other items that I harped on quite a bit is to make sure, because we went through the summer, getting it going from Quicken over to a new financial software. And the interim city manager at that time hired, I think her name was Kim Wilson, at $800 per day for 10 days to go through and make sure that the transition to the new software was good. And I want to protect the council and I want to protect Ben on it, but that was one of the other items. COVID-19. I sent the letter out about COVID-19, discussing about where people sat in here and also about a sign from please wear a mask, especially in that December, January, Christmas era. So I went back to look where I had, like this one says, Ben and Steve, please send this item to other city council members before tonight's meeting. And then like another one of these emails was, could we have links in each item letter where when we had like that 700 pages to scroll through all that to match it up with the other, could we please do that? It was not bashing anybody. It was not doing any of that. But I had this letter, I had two letters that I said, Steve, please forward this on to, please pass this on to the other council members. And I would have to go back and look which ones they were, if it was on the finance, or if it was on the COVID, or if it was on, one of the items that I sent to you was on posting on the newsletter about the Northwest bond election coming up in May, because that was given to me by my daughter-in-law. And then plus my niece works on the superintendent's team down there, and she sends me information about their packets. But on two of the items that I had in here, it said, Steve, please
Forward it on.
forward it
I
on.
understand
That
that.
is
I
where,
understand that.
So this is something that they didn't appreciate and they don't like, and that I broke the law on that. And I apologize for doing that. As you can see, I get into writing emails. I try to keep the facts straight during that time. And since that time, I'm sending them to you. And in the past two, I've also sent information to the public, like the Northwest. I have about 200 people that I know in the area, and I sent the Northwest out to them. Some of the other items I sent to other, maybe past council members, wanting to make sure that they knew that I was still persisting on quality bookkeeping, because they had seen that person come in being paid $800 a day to help get the book set up. And Ben and I have talked too that we're going to have to make upgrades in our software for the website and the finances. You went over and worked with them at Justin.
No, I mean.
You went to visit with them about that?
I've talked to them about it. I've already gone through that same upgrade that Justin did. I know exactly what the cost is. I know what the software is. We are not in any need of upgrading to that type of software right now.
Okay, that's fine, but
Hey, Ben, I have a question. What is this that's going on up here?
Oh, this is just the online meeting, and Google Meet now has a text to, this is sharing my screen. So the whole meeting, the presentation is being shared before, but like, there is nothing in the presentation regarding this.
so the first night this came up in an executive session, I was kind of taken aback about it. And then the second executive session, which was 2 weeks ago, I just had my teeth pulled. And I was advised also not to attend the meeting, just let the council work it out at that time. And on the drugs that I was on at that time, you wouldn't have wanted me in the meeting in there. I might have been drawing butterflies on the side of the wall. But, sorry about that.
So
And then tonight I wasn't able to come in here and present anything because a lot of things were decided by the council in the last meeting, and Bradley had different options on that. So I made a
I
mistake.
appreciate what you've gone through, Mayor. I mean, it helps set the thing, but I think, and if I'm wrong, jump in and correct me, but my understanding, what we were discussing is, we have the open meeting rule that says you cannot have more than 2 council members, because otherwise it's got to become an open meeting. If you got more than 2 council members involved, I don't care if it's in an email, if it's on a website, if you got more than 2 city councilmen involved in discussions, it becomes an open meeting. And if you have an open meeting without posting prior 72 hours in advance, you're in violation of the Open Meeting Act, which is a Texas law. And I think that's what we're discussing is that it appeared that there were more than 2 that got involved in a closed discussion, which violated possibly, I can't say because I'm not an attorney, but possibly violated the Open Meetings Act or law. And I think that's what we're having discussion about, from my understanding, and that may have occurred when you asked Steve to forward that to other members of the council. And so I think that's what we're discussing. And, you know, you already said you're sorry. I mean, I got that, and I think everybody's heard that. That's a good thing. But that's kind of, does that help? It helps me.
And I did, and that's like when I used to send them out all the time, and I just didn't do it in these. Do not reply, do not discuss. I would put that on the top of all of them. But these, I never got any reply back from anybody besides Ben. And so.
But I think that's incorrect. I'm sorry. I could be wrong. Did Steve not reply? Isn't that where it?
Well, he said one time, you're right about that. He said, I agree with the mask in the COVID meetings. He said, I think there needs to be a sign on the front door.
So I think that what's being discussed is not what the emails were necessarily about. It's that it was done illegally. And I think the reason why it wanted to get brought out is because, and I'll say I was concerned that it's gonna look like we're all trying to hide something. We ran on being transparent. Let's just let everybody know what happened. Some people already knew what happened. So let's just be open with the city about it. We can move past it and grow as a city council, new mayors coming in. Let's just lay down what's legal, what we're supposed to do, not supposed to do, so nothing looks like it's being swept under the rug and hidden. Let's just kind of deal with it and get over past
You
it.
can see, I'm not trying to hide it.
That's why we're here.
And that's good.
Right.
And I made a mistake on that one. I should have always stamped on the top of it, do not discuss until we get to the meeting. So there I am with that. So.
Okay.
And then you have the other issue with Steve, which is a whole lot different. There's a lot of different things on there.
And I don't even know how we can fix that.
And I'll say this, the council members in the past have really been great. You guys have done a great job. It's been very interesting watching the changes that we have had during the last 2 years, going from property taxes, going to that council working very hard, going through hiring the interim, going through hiring Ben, and then now we're gonna have another. Then we had you all elected, 5 members elected, and the other 5 went out in last November. And you guys have grown, you've had to learn things, and now we're gonna have minor changes in what is happening now. So,
Yeah,
thank you.
You.
Want me to read this to the city? Okay. This is what we decided to come up with. It's
Do you want to
a state-
explain what the rules are on what they're following?
Well,
Yeah, because like me, I could get an attorney to come in. Does insurance for the city, how would that be used to do everything?
so there's,
But this is some, okay, I'll say this, it's a minor mistake to me. It's a mistake. It's going 66 in a 65-mile-an-hour speed zone with the amount of what I have here.
Well, I think it's a little bit more than that.
And then, but I just use that as an example. I don't think it's like killing somebody.
No,
not
not like that, but it could be said that by the Attorney General's office.
so ultimately, the council adopted a procedures and decorum guide policy. And they basically said, this is what we're going to abide by. These are the rules that we're going to hold ourselves accountable to. And when the council determines that a member of their body has not followed that guideline, the option open to them is censure. And so the council has decided to put together a statement to read to the community and to kind of outline what happened, what their response is, and the position of the council as a whole. Once they've read the statement, they'll go ahead and somebody will make a motion to either take action on this or not, and then that will be the end of it. Ultimately, this is a council action to let the community at large know that, you know, we are aware that something happened and we do not approve of it, and we're not going to do it moving forward.
And I want to add this too. During the 14 years that I was mayor, I wanted an attorney at nearly every meeting, every time. And my lips are dry, pardon me. I always wanted an attorney present, and I always wanted to make sure that we had our professionals here as needed, because I wanted them to make sure that we were doing things correctly. And it was to build up trust with the public, because 20 years ago, when we got kicked out of the Fairview Community Center, and then we were meeting down at Blewett, and then we went over and met in John Christian's old house, and then we finally met in the Rock Building, there was a lot of distrust during that time. And then we got in, and we do want to always make sure that the public knows that we're wanting to do the right thing all the time. And we also have the factor that most of the people that came to a small city, especially with the facilities that we've had at that time, like the old wooden house, everybody approached us like, y'all are just a bunch of country hicks. You aren't educated, don't have any kind of education. And it really helped when we put up the list of all the professionals that we had taking care of the business. So I've always wanted things to be honest and straightforward. And I'm adding that.
Let's move forward.
Okay, this is a statement that was brought out. This is a statement to the public. as newly elected officials that campaign on conducting an ethical, open, and transparent government, we believe that it is important to recognize and acknowledge when errors are made. We also believe that a certain level of grace should be granted to individuals that are volunteering every time effort to serve the community. We believe that it's through our openness and transparency that we build a relationship of trust between our elected officials, community members, and staff. It's with this in mind that we read the following statement to the public. The new Fairview City Council is governed by laws, statutes, regulations that are in place largely to ensure that the public's interest is best served. One of these is the Texas Open Meetings Act, TOMA. In simplified terms, TOMA provides guidelines on when, where, and how city meetings are conducted. The rules are in place so that the public has adequate notice to review materials, make arrangements, to attend the meeting, and let their voice be heard. Following our election and appointment of the new Fairview City Council, received substantial training regarding TOMA during our orientation, as well as complete the state mandated online provided through the Attorney General's office. Further direct communication from staff and the city attorney was provided to the council regarding potential violations of TOMA. The new Fairview City Council recently became aware of activities among several of their members that was a potential violation of TOMA. Staff provided the materials to the city council and the city attorney for review. The new Fairview City Council was presented with a legal option as well as what potential actions the council could take. Following a thorough review and discussion of the issue, New Fairview City Council finds that the mayor and council member Meisner were in violation of TOMA and agreed that the public should be made aware of the circumstances as well as inform the public that this type of behavior is not acceptable for individuals in positions of authority in our community.
And Steve is involved in that because in two of these emails, I said, Steve, one said Ben and Steve, make sure that
Okay,
you.
Mayor, let me finish, please.
Oh, I thought you were
That's
already.
correct, go to the point.
Yeah.
Therefore, the new Fairview City Council will now take official action to censor Mayor Wilson and council member Meisner and ask them to issue an apology to the community and agree to align their future actions and behavior with the council adopted procedures and dark policy. And 3, follow all state and federal laws.
Well, I will apologize several times, and I will continue to work to do the right thing. Because I hope to live now Fairview a long time. But now Steve, the reason he was pulled into one part of this is because I said that about Steve, to Steve. And I think he did send it to some of the others. And so there we are. I am by far not a perfect person.
Nor any.
Okay. I make a motion that we accept this as is written.
I second that.
Well, I'll make, okay, any other discussion? Okay, all in favor? Okay, very good, passes. Now, did you want to say anything else about social media or anything like that?
That's not on the agenda, that's not an item.
It's not on the agenda.
That was not one of the problems,
Well, it is, but it's not on the agenda right now.
okay?
Maybe we can discuss it next.
Does everyone understand that?
What does censor mean? What does censor do?
Censor, from what I understand, they're going to create a file for me and for Ben, not for Ben, but for Steve. And you're gonna write that letter and put it in my file, right?
More than anything, it's just, it literally is letting the community know that the actions taken by those members was not viewed favorably or condoned by the balance of the council. So it's just, it's that the option available to them in regards to the type of city that we are.
They want to make sure that transparency is there and that we all do the correct thing.
And Steve's gonna follow this as well.
That is what the council's asked them to do.
So is he gonna be censored to follow this as well?
That's what he said.
We've asked him to follow
Yes.
this. I wish he hadn't left, but
Yeah, he doesn't have to stay there, he can leave. So, that's it right there. That's what we asked, and that's what we're doing.
We'll see.
And there are other options.
That's the scene of the meeting. If you guys could, before you leave, we've got some documents that I need signatures on before you guys head out. That'd be
So,
fantastic.
so the meeting's done.
Anything else? Mayor?
We're down to the point, the end of the meeting at this time, and it's for adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Very good, thank you.
Okay.
Me? Yeah. Are you ready to go do something? Big task. Your glasses.
We think now.